this episode, Jason talks about the WWE Elimination Chamber on March 1st, 2025. That music that you heard at the top is Reality 508. Find them where you find music. I'm your host, Jason Medeiros, and find us where you go on social media, at Jason Talks About in most places. And please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done that already. Let's get right into it. So the Elimination Chamber opened up with the United States National Anthem being booed. That was a large point of discussion for a lot of the show. I know there's been a lot of mixed feelings about this, and people saying, Pat McAfee made his feelings known, and, people are saying the Canadian people are trash and this and that. I will say that we do have a president that talks about annexing Canada. And before someone says, keep your politics out of my podcast, I mean, that's just the facts. You talked about it more than once. Obviously, the Canadians don't like that kind of talk, and they booed the national anthem. And I thought it was relevant to bring up because it was an extremely noticeable thing. And like I said, Pat McAfee had a lot of feelings about it, and he commented on it. All right, okay? So, anyway, let's get into the chamber. So the first match was the women's chamber. Liv and Naomi started. I thought this was a good choice. They're two of the good hands, so to speak. But before we could get moving, Jade Cargill came back. Jade Cargill comes out of the entranceway, storms into the ring, looks like she's going after Liv Morgan, starts beating the living crap out of Naomi instead. I thought that Bianca Belair did a good job. She was in her pod, obviously. Well, the other four women were in the pod. She's panicking and crying and screaming, and there's nothing she can do. And Jade continues to beat on Naomi. Naomi's trying to crawl out of the cage. When she does this, her head is lined right up with the entrance of the cage, and Jade pulls the big sliding cage door right into Naomi's head. And that's it. Naomi's out of the match. They have to take her out of the match. She's done for. So I guess, the announcers and everybody speculating, oh my God, Naomi must have attacked Jade. Okay, I can get behind that, and it was a cool moment. Just some logic here. Jade and Naomi, and Jade, Bianca, nobody could talk to Jade. Jade couldn't. I don't know. I guess maybe they could say, hey, we got you. We happened to show her the footage immediately before the chamber match while she was dressed in gear, I guess. So let's just see what they say on Raw. I'll give them a pass on that one. But right now, little holes in the logic, but whatever. Okay, so then what's kind of funny is there was let them fight chants in the crowd, and then there was nah, 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 hey, hey, goodbye chants. So it might be the crowd telling you that it's good if Naomi is the culprit and turns heel, because I think they're kind of souring on Naomi as the babyface, sounds like. And I think she could use a new coat of paint. The glow thing has been done for a long time, and I remember back in her heel days, and I thought she was a pretty good heel. Okay, so Bianca enters next. Okay, so Liv's still in the ring, and she's laughing at this whole thing. The timer goes off. Bianca's pod opens up. So again, good storytelling. So she runs over, and she's trying to check on Naomi, who's being carted out. Jade's already long gone, and I understand the character is supposed to be kind of emotionally compromised, but it was a little bit of a stupid move because Liv just attacks her from behind and starts, beating her up. So they go back and forth, and then Roxanne enters, and she starts taking over. And then Bayley entered, and she went right at Roxanne Perez. They've been having a feud that's been going between NXT and WWE, and, they're getting into it. Alexa Bliss entered last. She did her thing where she's like in a trance, and she started beating up Liv Morgan, and I'm not a fan of this stuff coming back of Alexa Bliss, the mind controller, and the walking around in a zombie trance. I'm just not into it. Sorry if you are. Liv ended up Liv ended up pinning Bayley with the Oblivion. That was the first elimination. Bianca Belair did a crossbody onto everybody off of the top of the pod after fighting with Liv up there and whipping Liv with the braid wicked hard. You could hear it all over the arena. They replayed it several times. Liv fell I'm wondering at this point if Liv is hurt for real, not from the braid whip, but just she kept holding her ribs, and it looked like more than just selling to me. I haven't seen any reports, I don't know, but it looked like she could be really hurt. Um, Alexa Bliss ended up pinning Roxanne Perez with the Twisted Bliss. Um, Liv Morgan ended up rolling up Alexa Bliss for a pin. Bianca Belair pinned Liv with the KOD. And Rhea and Bianca and Io all had a face-off. They were the last people left. And not, I'm sorry, not the last people left. Let me back up. Bianca pinned Liv with the KOD. Bianca won the Elimination Chamber. So talk about a roller coaster ride for the character of Bianca Belair. She goes from like her friends, they're fighting, she doesn't know why, and then she's crying, and then she's not paying attention to the match, she gets attacked. She's only the third. She actually technically started the match because Naomi didn't start, so her and Liv started the match. She went all the way to the end. She ended up pinning Liv, so the first two were the last two, and won the Elimination Chamber. And then what I was trying to say earlier, if I could speak today, was that when Bianca was making her way up the rampway, Rhea Ripley came out and had a little face-off with Bianca, but then Io Sky also came out, and there was kind of a three-way stare-down because Io Sky has the title shot on Monday Night Raw the following night on Monday. So they're selling it as Rhea or Io against Bianca. I'm pretty sure we can bank on Rhea and Bianca. I don't have a lot to say about the next match. It was Nia Jax and Candice LeRae against Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. Obviously, this was kind of a match thrown in there. They're in Canada. Why not? Trish Stratus, who looks amazing, by the way. There was a lot about her outfit. You can look it up if you haven't seen it. Nothing really wrong with the match. I was just surprised that Nia Jax took the pin from the prettiest moonsault ever by Tiffy. I thought for sure that Candice would take the pin here. Sammy and KO unsanctioned was next. The ref was in a black suit and gloves, like just all black clothes and gloves. It's the first time I'd seen that. Michael Cole actually mentioned the names of El Generico and Kevin Steen. Sammy was out first, looking all determined, and I noticed that KO still looks very emotionally distraught. I thought his acting, his facials were great. The crowd was doing the ole, 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 calling back to the old Generico days back in Canada. I liked the way they did this. They did the lighting and the whole arena was like dark on the crowd. Kind of like you see on AEW sometimes when they don't have a big crowd. I'm not throwing shots. I'm just saying for comparison's sake, trying to describe this. And then they just had kind of a spotlight on the ring and the whole ringside area. So it kind of felt like maybe an older, smaller type of possibly like indie event or an older event. And I thought it was a cool effect they were going for. Sammy was selling his neck throughout the match. At one point, I thought, again, just some logic here. Sammy starts throwing chairs into the ring, which Kevin Owens was in the ring and he wasn't that compromised. It was early in the match, so he just grabbed a chair and started using it on Sammy. They fought in the crowd. Sammy put KO through 2 tables that was stacked on top of each other. This is awesome chants. KO pushed Sammy off the top turnbuckle to the outside through 2 tables. Sammy went for the haluva kick at one point, and KO pulls the ref in the way and gives him the pile driver. And then the new ref, Little Nate, runs in, and it's a 2 count. And Kevin Owens gets pissed off and clotheslines him. So Kevin Owens takes out another ref. They can't do anything to him because it's non-sanctioned. There was some chair shots to the head, which surprised me. KO at one point did a fisherman buster off the top rope through the table to Sammy for a 2 count. You can see the officials talking to KO to kind of tell him to stop now because Sammy's just really taking a beating. Cole was really selling it. I thought he did a great job, Michael Cole, in this match, selling the carnage and how worried he was about Sami Zayn. Sammy made a comeback, grabbed a barbed wire chair. There was ECW chants. Sammy did a drop toe hold to Kevin Owens on the barbed wire chair. So the idea was that, Kevin Owens' face went in. I think he was trying to sell like his eye possibly hit the barbed wire. This is a match I would say probably could have used some blood, and they didn't. I think we're going to find out why later. Sammy hit a blue thunder through the chair and got a 2 count. There was "This is awesome" chants. KO hit the pop-up power bomb on Sammy, who's selling his neck big time at this point and rolls outside in pain. KO then horse collars Zayn with the chair and slams him into the ring post twice that way. Gives him a power bomb on the apron. At this point, the officials are down there. They're trying to beg Kevin to stop. He picks him up, power bombs him on the apron again, rolls him back in the ring. 3 count, Kevin Owens wins. I said the announcers were great. I don't say that often about WWE or anyone in general nowadays, but they were great in this match, in my opinion. Security and EMTs come out. KO fights off the security and rips the mat up to expose the bare floor. At this point, he's thinking of he's gonna pile drive Sami Zayn on the bare floor, and then we hear the Randy Orton music, and here comes Randy Orton. So KO gets in the ring and waits for him, and they exchange punches, and then boom, RKO out of nowhere. Randy Orton is contemplating beating Kevin Owens with the chair, and then he says no and throws it down, and you might be thinking, oh, good babyface move. Nope. He points to the foot. He's going to do the stomp. I'm sorry, the punt. I thought he was Seth Rollins for a second. He's going to do the punt, which we haven't seen in many years for a lot of reasons. So he backs all the way up to the corner, and he's lining it up, and KO's there on all fours trying to recover. And then the officials all run in to stop the punt at the last second, and KO rolls out of the way and out of the ring and gets away, and we get an RKO to 4 different security guys, and Randy Orton celebrating in the ring. Okay, so then it was time for the men's chamber match. Logan Paul, I said at the top, the feelings about the United States and Canada at this point. So Logan Paul naturally comes out with a giant United States flag in his entrance, so that was pretty funny. Triple H. So the announcers, again, were saying some things that surprised me. They talked about Triple H having the most wins in Elimination Chamber at 4. That wasn't the part that surprised me. But they talk about how Chris Jericho has the most eliminations and invented the match. So, wow, big credit to Chris Jericho, who's no longer with the company. Cena has 3 wins, so he's tied with, and this is another guy they mentioned, Bryan Danielson, or as they call him, Daniel Bryan. So he's tied for the second most wins, Cena and Bryan. And Drew McIntyre has 2 wins. So everybody gets in their pods except for Drew and Rollins. They start the match. Huge Punk chants for Punk, who's in the, while he's in the pod even, and not even in the match. So Drew and Rollins go at it. They did a great job. Two good workers, and there's probably 2 logical guys to start off the match. Priest entered next, and he got into a big fight with Drew. There was loud "F you, Logan" chants while Logan was still in his pod, and lo and behold, Logan Paul entered next, and so then we had a 4-way going on. And then Cena enters to a gigantic pop, and he's really cleaning house. He's just beating on everybody and just really, bouncing everybody around. And then out of nowhere, the Claymore to Cena to halt his momentum. And while Drew is kind of pointing down, talking trash to Cena, Damian Priest rolls him up for a 3 count. So Damian Priest now has cashed in on Drew, screwed Drew at the Royal Rumble by throwing him out, and now he's rolled him up here in the Elimination Chamber. So I want to think we're probably building to Priest and McIntyre. I wish McIntyre was doing more or going for the title, but whatever. But Drew McIntyre made sure to Claymore Damian Priest before he left, even though he was already legally out of the match. Logan Paul then took advantage and frog splashed Priest from the top of one of the pods for the 3 count. So he's gone. Punk enters last, and there's a gigantic brawl between him and Logan Paul, who've been talking a lot of trash. After Punk kind of disposed of Logan Paul, he had a big stare down with John Cena, and there was a big holy shit chant. But then Rollins attacked Punk and got into a back and forth fight with John Cena for the boo yay. They were booing Rollins and yay for Cena. So Cena was getting huge nostalgia love here tonight. Logan Paul comes and clotheslines both of them. While he's distracted by that, Punk hits the GTS on Logan Paul. 3 count, boom. Now we're down to Seth, Punk, and Cena. And there's 26 championships between the 3 men that Michael Cole mentioned. I don't know if they're acknowledging Punk's AEW reign in that math. I don't think so. Cena and Punk ended up double teaming Rollins and gave him the heart attack since they were in Canada. But then I wrote no pin, ? I don't know why they didn't pin him and get rid of him if they wanted it to come down to them two. Cena extends the hand to Punk. Punk looks like he's not going to shake his hand. And then instead hugs Cena. And then they start fighting. They start just duking it out. Cena's really over. I would say Cena and Punk are definitely the 2 most over guys in the whole match. There was a cool sequence where there was Cena countered the GTS. The go to sleep into an STF, and then Punk reversed that into the Anaconda Vice. Punk ended up getting nailed with the attitude adjustment and kicked out. We're getting "This is awesome" chants. Rollins gets back into it and takes out Punk real quick. Bucko bombs Cena into the cage and throws him through one of the pods, the plastic. Didn't go for the pin though, and the announcers did a good job going back to that later, because kind of saying, Rollins paid for that decision. He then goes after Punk. He hits Punk with a pedigree. Punk kicks out. So now the crowd's really going nuts. It just felt like Rollins was full on heel at this point. Punk also kicked out of the curb stomp. And then what happened was Punk ended up making a comeback, hit Rollins with the GTS right into the waiting John Cena, who gave him the attitude adjustment and the 3 count. So now we're hearing dueling "Let's Go Cena" CM Punk chants. They do the handshake again, but this time Punk pulls Cena in, GTS, kick out. Cena pops up, little exchange, attitude adjustment, kick out. So the crowd is really, really hot right now at this point. We don't know who's going to win. It's going back and forth. Great crescendo here to the match. But here's where more storytelling here. CM Punk is kind of crawling away from Cena, and he's got his upper body and head sticking out of the bottom rope where the hard chamber floor is. And Seth Rollins off camera comes running in, stomps Punk on the outside, his head into the hard floor. Cena pulls Punk in for the STF, says, "I'm sorry," holds him in the STF. Punk passes out. Cena wins the chamber. So John Cena, I did not see that coming. I knew it was a possibility, but I figured he'd have a valiant effort and end up doing something else at WrestleMania. I think things are going to become a little clearer in a few minutes though here. Cena wins. They raise up the cage. Everyone's all kind of celebrating. Here comes Cody. Cody's entrance, because we still have not gotten his answer if he's going to sell his soul for whatever that means to The Rock. They promised that the answer would be today at the chamber. So here comes Cody. Cody comes out. He's looking all kind of confused and conflicted. Him and Cena shake hands. I wrote that the crowd was weird at this point because I don't think they knew what was going on. Like, was there going to be... What's Cody doing here? He looks so confused and Cena's kind of respectfully saying, "Hey man, it's going to be me and you. It's going to be great." That, he's pointing up at the sign, and Cody acknowledges that. And like I said, they shook hands and Cody looks conflicted. And I think the crowd's a little weird too, because Cena was getting major nostalgia love. They always give Cody love. Then you hear "If You Smell" and Travis Scott. So Travis Scott. So I was confused. I was like, who is that? Oh, it's Travis Scott. So it was a little remix of Travis Scott's music, and then boom, we go into the Rock's heel entrance music. Rock gets a gigantic pop, even though he's supposed to be the heel. He's always going to get a pop, I think. Rock gets in the ring, and I wrote Travis, question mark. So Travis Scott is just hanging out in the far corner during the whole segment. So I was wondering, like, why is Travis Scott still hanging here? But he was there. Rock just stares at Cody, and Cody looks nervous, and John Cena's in the background, just in camera shot, and looking conflicted himself. And the Rock's telling Cody, I'm gonna open your arms. I'm gonna open my arms, and y'all gonna embrace me. I need your soul. And if no, the dream dies. And Cena, again, is saying no in the background, shaking his head. And you can see him kind of making gestures to the crowd, like, don't do it, Cody. And Cody is saying, I want it all, Rock. And my soul no longer belongs to me. I gave it to this ring and to these people long ago. And then he tells The Rock, go F yourself. But he doesn't say F. He actually says it. And that got a gigantic pop, and The Rock just stood there, and they was just staring at them, and Travis Scott's in the corner, and Cody and Cena have a big hug, and as they're hugging, The Rock looks at Cena. Cena's facing The Rock at this point, gives him this big exaggerated nod, and then makes the cutthroat motion and a two, whatever that means, kisses his fingers. Cena's face immediately goes evil, and he kicks Cody Rhodes right in the nuts. And then he takes Dusty Rhodes' watch. Announcers are doing a great job again, I have to say. Give them credit where credit's due. Especially Michael Cole. Cena takes Dusty Rhodes' watch and starts punching Cody in the head, punching him in the head. He takes the mic. He hits it to make sure it's on. Boom, hits Cody with the mic in the head. You can hear it. Then he picks up the championship belt. Smacks Cody in the head with that. Now Cody's got juice. The crowd is still cheering Cena. It's like half and half, because people have waited a long time to see what this would be like. And then Cena chokes Cody with the tie. And Travis Scott is holding Cody Rhodes down with John Cena at this point. And The Rock starts whipping him with his weight belt that says Cody's soul. And then he wipes blood from Cody's head onto the white belt. And Cena is stepping on Cody's head with his arms raised up in the air and the title belt in his hand. You sold out chants. Cena throws the belt on Cody, and him, The Rock, and Travis Scott walk out. They stop to pose a couple of times in the aisleway, and it's finally happened, people. It's a long time too late, I think, but John Cena's turned heel, and Michael Cole actually left the announce position and jumped in the ring to check on Cody. My initial thoughts, was it shocking? For sure. I got to admit, I was kind of half asleep at this point, and it woke me right up. Few logic holes. What would happen if John Cena didn't win the Chamber? What happens if Cody Rhodes said, yeah, sure, Rock, I'll join you. Like I said, I'll give him a chance to explain on Monday Night Raw. I thought Travis Scott was a distraction and unnecessary. I don't know why. I understand he brings eyeballs and he's famous, but I don't know. It's kind of awkward to me having him in there at this point. I thought the perfect time for John Cena to turn heel was when The Rock had defeated him at WrestleMania and they were in Miami the next night. I would have loved for John Cena to leave The Rock laying in a pool of his own blood that night. But here we are, and let's just look at real life for a moment. John Cena, I read, and I don't know if this is true, but I saw a post that said he literally granted a Make-A-Wish the day of the Chamber. We all know his history with Make-A-Wish. We know what a great man he's been to kids. I have a ton of respect for John Cena. I've met his father on the independent circuit, who has always been an incredibly nice guy. In my experience, I can only go by my experiences. That's been my experience. I've only heard people speak highly of him. I have a ton of respect, a lot of respect for what he does with the kids. I remember him telling Roman Reigns that I can't leave because you can't do my job. I know that was kind of shoot, kind of work. But I think the point is that John Cena literally never wanted to do this because of his work with the kids. And I think maybe now he sees it. Cody's there. Cody's beloved. And they have people that can do this. And maybe this is, Cena's like, hey, I'm out. And this is his last final year. And maybe he figures, Cody's here and there is somebody that can take the reins from me now finally. I think it adds a lot of intrigue going into WrestleMania. And I think it sets up an interesting dynamic. So what we have been hearing in real life for the last couple of weeks now is about, here comes The Rock, and he's muddying the waters, and it's these Hollywood part-timers, and they just screw everything up for the... Well, don't we have the perfect storyline right here? We've got Cody, the American Nightmare, kind of like the American Dream, like this workhorse champion who's on all the shows and wrestles all the time, and all the guys that are on his side, like Rollins and whoever, if Rollins is a full-fledged heel now. But you get my drift, the Jey Usos of the world. And then you've got, now we can say it here, like Cena and The Rock. I'm not saying this is what they're going to do, but this is what they could do. It could be like the Hollywood assholes, right? The part-time guys that get to just come in and take spots. Don't forget, folks, John Cena just said, I'm taking a spot in the chamber. Okay, all right? So it's these guys, and people in real life have been saying that. I've been talking to people that have been saying, you know what, screw John Cena. Why does he get a spot just like that? Blah, 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 right? So, again, you have a nice setup here. Hollywood Rock, who's doing whatever he wants, and John Cena, the Hollywood guy who comes in, barely part-time, taking spots, blah, 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 against Cody, the blue-collar champion. And I think it has a potential to be really good. And if somebody can get a really, really good one of the last matches of John Cena, a really good match out of him, definitely Cody. Cody Rhodes could do it. So, again, I mean, is there some logic holes? Yes, but WWE went from feeling a little stale the last couple of weeks to just ramping things way up again coming out of the chamber. There was a lot of returns, there were surprises, and this was probably the biggest surprise of all in a long time in wrestling. A lot of people are comparing it to Hogan NWO. I don't know if it's that industry shaking because that almost caved in WWE. But this is big. It's probably the next biggest heel turn next to that, I would say. That's just my fast, thoughts on that. So I haven't had a lot of time to digest it. But anyway, I thought it was a good event. I thought most of the wrestling was solid. I thought the surprises were really good. And what was a head-scratching WTF segment with The Rock and Cody Soul and whatever, blah, 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 turned out to be one of the most shocking, surprising, talked about things in wrestling in a very long time. So they've got me. I'm interested to watch Raw and see what's going on and see what's happening and get some explanations. And they just made the road to WrestleMania a little more interesting. So that's my thoughts. Good event. Oh, and before I go, I did want to say, you might have noticed there was no Raw or SmackDown review. I made the decision that when there's a pay-per-view, because, we're talking, anywhere between 5, 6, 4, 10 or 11 hours of wrestling, just one company. Kind of a lot. I'm probably on a pay-per-view week just going to do the pay-per-view, unless something really of substance happens on the Raw and SmackDown before the pay-per-view, which are usually kind of placeholder shows. The only thing I can think of in significance, and it was a really good match, was Liv and Raquel winning the belts off Bianca and Naomi, which, after seeing what happened in the chamber, makes a lot of sense. So I probably should have mentioned that up at the top, but that was probably the only big thing. There was some good promos. Punk, Logan comes to mind. But, the matches were just so-so, and there was just a lot of safe stuff heading into the pay-per-view, which is usually the case with the Raws and SmackDowns before pay-per-views. Usually it's the Raw and SmackDown after the pay-per-views that you look more forward to. I know I do. But anyway, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, if you haven't given us a like and a subscribe, please do so. Please share. Please engage. I appreciate all you guys. That's my thoughts on the week in WWE. And again, please subscribe so you can know when I'm dropping new episodes, which should be soon. And join me next time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.